Amanda here from Create with Scrimpingmommy. Thank you so much for joining me. So today I'm doing a tutorial on a Kraft Tex journal cover. So this is for my May journaling J.O.Y. So we're going to be using the book lover collection. Okay, fantastic collection. If you check back on my previous videos, you'll see a review of it page by page. And this is the tutorial for the cover. So Kraft Tex, if you've not used it before, check out the video that I did yesterday regarding how to use Kraft Tex. I give you loads of information, hints and tips, etc, etc. So I'm not going to repeat them here. I'm just going to get on with the tutorial. So measurements. So if you're going to use Kraft Tex, these are the measurements. So we're cutting our piece to 9.5. If you want to pause the video and screenshot this, it has all of the measurements on. Okay. So the cover is 9.5 by 17.5 inches. That's the beauty of Kraft Tex. We can get the whole entire cover in one piece, so we don't have to cut up chipboard and do it in pieces and wrap it. We can just do it all in one long piece. 9.5 by 17.5 inches. We're going to score on all 4 sides at 1/2 inch. Okay, it can be tricky doing the long score on your scoreboard. What I would say is, when you're doing the long scores, hold it firmly, score as far as you can, and then lift it up and then just do the other half of it. Okay, so 1/2 inch on all 4 sides. Okay, then with the long side in your scoreboard, so along the long side, we are scoring, and it's that way around. We're scoring at 1/2 inch, 3 inches, 9 inches, 11 inches, and 17 inches. Okay, again, if you pause and screenshot this, save it to your camera roll, or you can pause it and write these down. Or you can rewind the video and watch it again, save it to your playlist, or you will find it in my Journaling J.O.Y. monthly journals playlist. So we've done along the long side. Okay. Have I done the short side? Yes. I lost what I was doing then. So that's all the scoring. Then we're going to make a couple of pockets. So on the front cover, now I've not decided what I'm doing with this top edge yet. I might shape it. I'm not sure. We'll see as the journal progresses. So you want to cut this to 7 inches by 8 inches. Okay. So 7 by 8 tall. Okay. So with the 7-inch measurement in your scoreboard, you're scoring at 1/2 inch and 6.5 inches. Then you're going to turn it, and along the 8-inch side, score at 1/2 inch. Okay, fold and burnish, and then snip off your corners. Just treat it the same as cardstock. Snip off your corners where those 2 score lines intersect, cut across the X. Just make sure that when these fold over, they don't overlap, and you want to burnish this within 1 inch of its life, because Kraft Tex is a little bit stronger than cardstock. You really need to burnish it and burnish it again, and then when you think you've burnished it enough, burnish it some more. So this is going to go on the front cover. So that's your front cover pocket. Okay, then we've got another pocket, and this is going to go inside the back cover. So the back pocket measurements are here. Okay, this measures 6 inches wide by 8 inches tall. Okay, so put it in on the 6-inch, with the 6-inch side. Okay, whichever way you want to do it, score at 1/2 inch. Then put it on the other way on the 8-inch side and score at 1/2 inch. So you've essentially got 2 score marks, one on the height and one on the width. Okay. It's going to go in that way, so your scores want to be there. Okay. Then what we're going to do is, I'll give you the measurements for my angles. So what I've done is, with this folded up, we are measuring up, how far have I done it? 4 inches. Make a mark. Then with this folded in, come across, and at, what have I done there? 2.5 inches. Make a mark. Then where you've got them marks, join them up to make that angled pocket, and that's going to go in on the back cover, on the inside. Okay, so there's the measurements for you again. Put your pockets to one side, we're not going to need them right now. So when you've got all of your scoring, you will see that you've got 1/2 inch, then you've got a 6-inch gap, then you've got your spine, another 6 inch, then you've got a smaller score there, and then another 1/2 inch. So this is going to be the back cover. This is going to be the back, this little bit of a pocket. Is it going on? No, it's not going on the back, it's going on the front. I beg your pardon. So where you've got 2 score lines there, that's the front. So the first thing you want to do is fold and burnish the 1/2 inch score lines all the way around. And again, you're burnishing it within 1 inch of its life. Really, really firmly, okay? You've got to really work it. It's a fabric paper. You know, it's sturdy stuff. You've got to really give it some welly, as we say in Yorkshire. Okay, so I've sped this part up because I went on for far too long. So you will hear me say repeatedly, burnish, burnish, burnish. Super important with Kraft Tex, because it doesn't form, you know, a memory of where it's going as easy as cardstock. It's much, it's not as pliable as cardstock. So once you've folded the 1/2 inch all the way around, we're going to cut across the corners where the score lines intersect, creating an X. Cut straight across the X. Try and do this as tidily as you can, so that you don't have any bulk in those corners. Okay, again, Kraft Tex is just less forgiving when it comes to bulk. So try and get those corners as neat as you can. Make sure they don't overlap when you're folding them. So now we're going to start and trim. Now I was going to cut away these small rectangles here where the spine is. So you'll see me just trimming a small notch. Okay, a small notch, because I decided to save them and use them and fold them over to just give the edges a bit of strength. So we are notching either side of the spine section. There you go, tiny little triangles, not great big notches like when you do a corner. Tiny little triangles, and they will fold. And then all of those other longer sections where the 1/2 inch is going to fold over, you want to notch those as well. Okay, and you will see in a moment, oh, I cut my finger there. I cut my finger with the scissors, so I was sticking some tape over it so that I didn't bleed all over my Kraft Tex. So this is going to be the pocket that goes at the front. So the bottom flap and the top flap, you need to notch. And we're going to attach the flap to the cover, and the long section at the side will be taped down flat. Okay, so you'll be able to see in a moment where I'm adding my tape. So again, we're burnishing everything. We've already burnished, but we're burnishing again. So here, this pocket is going on the inside of the front cover. I'm adding 1/4 inch tape to close to the cutting edge, okay? And then I'm going to stick that flap down to give me a neat edge. The top and bottom flap, don't stick those down yet. Don't do anything to them. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add tape on all the rest of these flaps. 1/4 inch tape close to the edge if you're sewing. If you're not sewing, use 3/8 of an inch tape and put it between the score line and the cut edge. And that will give you a really good base for sticking. But I want to sew, so I'm using 1/4 inch tape, so I've got a 1/4 inch space close to the edge so that I can use my sewing machine. Okay, so there we go. or tape on all of those. So all of these flaps, all it's doing is we're folding them over to have a nice strong edge. Okay, it just adds a little bit of stability and it just looks super neat and tidy for a journal cover. It makes it look a bit more like a journal cover rather than just a folded piece of fabric. Okay, so it's just an added detail. So take your time, burnish it really well again to make sure it's stuck down really firmly, and that will literally complete your cover. Then at the very end, what you're going to do is add tape, fold the flaps in, add tape on, and then stick them down. Now if you want to sew the edge of your pocket, the outer edge, don't stick them down until you've done that. Okay, which I did, and I had to pull it off, and believe you me, it wasn't easy to get it back off again. So if you want to sew that outer edge of that pocket, do it now. If you don't, just remove your tape and fold it over. Fold those flaps over and attach it to the inside of your cover. Okay, now that pocket might look a little bit kind of wide as I'm demonstrating there, but once I've run my sewing down the edge, it's going to make that pocket tighter, and it just means we can fit lots of stuff in. It's lovely and flexible and nice and pliable stuff. I'm showing you here that I've got some little book corners. You can add those on if you so desire. I would advise a very small amount of glossy accents if you're going to do that. So then I was going to add the pockets and then remembered that I'm sewing. So I want to sew around the inside perimeter of the pockets as well. So I've not attached them yet. So I will go away, do all of my sewing, and then I will be back. Okay, so hopefully you were able to follow that. I just had to speed it up because it went on forever. So here's my finished cover. Okay, it's fabulous. So I've sewn all the way around. I decided not to sew it in sections because I didn't want to overcomplicate it. My sewing machine handled it fine, and here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 layers of Kraft Tex, and it's gone through perfectly fine. Okay, it sews really easy. So all we have to do now is add our pockets, and then I'm going to show you how to mark where you're going to put your eyelets, because we're going to do the Midori style. Okay, we're going to make it quite full because this is a soft flexible cover. We can really pack this journal and the cover will still be able to breathe, whereas when you've got a chipboard or cardstock wrapped, you know, you're kind of restricted. So we've got room here for our spine to go a little bit curvy if it wants to accommodate if we fill our book with lots of things. So here's our 2 pockets. So I'm going to do the back one first. So I've put my tape on to try and speed it up a bit. So I'm just going to really burnish extra, and obviously you can see that I've sewn around the inside of the pocket as well. Okay, so grab my tool and remove my tape. Okay, so I'm just going to do it one side at once because once it's down, it's down. I don't want to, and I'm just deciding whereabouts I want it. I think I'm going to have it just kind of within the stitching so that you've got like a double layer of stitching. I think that looks really nice. Okay, so it's not flush against the edge or the bottom. I'm just kind of framing that stitching with an even border all the way around. Okay, and that should, hopefully it'll look nice when we've laid this paper on, otherwise I'll regret it. So now I've stuck that on, I can just lift it back, remove the tape on the next one. Okay, come on. I'm having one of those days where my hands aren't working, so if I'm a bit fumbly, I am ever so sorry. I'm just having one of those old lady days. So, tuck that in, make sure it's fairly straight, and that will go straight over the top. And it looks almost like suede in this grey colour. It's ever so pretty. So one thing you can do, you can stencil on this, you can stamp on it. Just don't use water-based, you know, your distress ink types. Use something like archival. I don't have these in loads of colours. I only have them in basics, but you can stamp on it, you can stencil on it, you can paint on it, you can do all sorts on it. It's brilliant stuff. Okay, so that's that one. So now we've got a pocket on the inside front cover and a nice big pocket here. Now I may well add, I've got an idea of adding like just a little bit of something here to stick underneath the pocket and come around just as a bit of fancy and to stop this from flapping, because this is just a bit more flexible than cardstock. Okay, but we'll see how we go. We'll see how we go, whether it's needed or not. So then I'm going to turn the whole thing over to the front, and I've got my front pocket. I decided not to do anything fancy with this. I decided that I'm going to just have it as a lovely large pocket to put something in. Now, the way that I've cut this is going to have to go edge to edge. It's not going to be able to sit within the sewing. So if you want to make your pocket a little bit smaller than mine, if you want to redo it or do another angled pocket the same as size as that one, so that it can nestle within the sewing, if you do sewing, that's totally up to you. I'm just going to stay with what I've got. So again, I can't emphasize it enough with the burnishing. And we'll remove that. Okay, and I'm leaving the other two on, and I'm going to line this up right flush against the edge there. Okay, so I'm going corner to corner first, down a bit, down a bit. I want it really flush with that corner so it lays on. There we go. So I've got that on. You don't need to worry about it catching on here because it's so flexible, nothing's going to be a problem. So now I can give that a really good burnish. Whoops. To make sure that's down nicely, I'm going to give this another squeeze. It just needs extra help with its like memory of where it's going. So that's why I'm repeatedly burnishing, because it is strong stuff. Okay. And what I'm going to actually do is I'm just going to remove part of the tape like so and crease it. And the same at the other side, rather than remove it all, because I want to make sure I get this on pretty straight. Okay. So then I'm folding that in, making sure it's lined up with the edge of there, then I can pull my tape out and give it a really good squash. Same here, make sure it's lined up before I remove the rest of that tape. And then if I just pull it like that, yeah. And then what I will do is I will go inside the cover with my ruler and give it an extra press on those flaps. Okay. So that's that bit done. So I need to put eyelets in there, or I have got a bit of a gap. I could even just thread something through, but I'm going to have eyelets. So you can see how lovely and soft it's going to be. Okay, it's going to be beautiful. Don't worry if you think, oh, well, it's a bit floppy. It won't be once you've got your signatures in and you've layered all of this with your beautiful patterned paper. It will be have a little bit more sturdiness to it. Okay, trust me. And it doesn't need to be sturdy. It's Kraft Tex. It's a fabric cover. It's nice and soft. We don't need to worry about this spine. You might think, well, that's a bit thin, that, Amanda. Trust me. It don't rip. We're going to do the Midori style. Then you can, you know, reuse this cover, put different papers in it, whatever. I just think using the elastics is a brilliant way of doing the binding. It's super simple, and it just works for me. I love it. So I've cut one of the images and I have inked it. Okay, I may well layer it with some words or a metal plate, or I'm not sure. What I would say is, if you're going to use anything like a metal plate that's got brads, you might want to plan that in advance, because if you want to do that, I would literally decorate this pocket before you stick it down. Then if you want something with metal brads, you can put it through the pocket before it's glued down. Then cover over the back of the brads with some kind of tape so that whatever you put in doesn't catch. So there's another option for you. Okay, so I'm going to this is the only matting that I'm doing on here. Okay, just to show you how nicely this will glue on. Okay, you just need to leave it to dry. What I will say is do not get glue. If you get glue on the Kraft Tex, wipe it off as fast as possible because it will dry shiny. Okay, it doesn't matter if your glue says it'll dry clear. Whatever you're using, if you put glue on the Kraft Tex, you will be able to see it. So you can see that I'm not gluing all the way up to the edges. And then when I put this on, okay, I'm going to position it within my sewing. Now, normally when I cut let me get this down before my glue dries, then I'll tell you. Normally when I cut a matting layer, I cut it 1/4 of an inch shorter on the height and 1/4 of an inch shorter on the width. Okay, this one has been cut 1/2 inch. So I've cut it a bit smaller than I normally cut a paper layer, and that's because I want to see that stitching. Okay, so bear that in mind. Now I've got my stitching pretty straight. If yours isn't straight, don't worry about it. Just stick your paper layer straight over the top of it. It doesn't matter. You don't even have to sew it. It will hold nicely. Let me just make sure. I'm just going to add a little bit more there, to be honest. Because I think, because I'm being overcautious with the glue, I've not put enough on. Okay, and that will glue down. When it's dry, it will be perfect. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to give you the markings for your holes and your measurement spacing. I'm going to punch my holes, but what you want to do is you want to layer your paper over, then re-punch the holes. And then add your eyelets once you've added paper to the spine, if you're going to add any. I might even just leave mine plain. I'm not sure. Don't know what I'm doing yet. So, I've got a pencil. And I've got my ruler. And what we're going to do is we're going to use this 1/2 inch fold that we've got on the spine as a bit of a guide. Okay. Do we want it that far up? Let me have a think. So this measures 2 inches. So the first thing you want to do is find the halfway mark. So I'm going to make my marks above this 1/2 inch fold. That way I know that once my paper's on, you're not going to see them. Okay. So there's 1 inch. And then we're going to go 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch each side. So we're going to go at 1/2 inch, and then we're going to go at 1.5 inch. Okay. But just in case yours is not perfect, go for the middle and then go 1/2 inch either side. That gives us 1/2 inch from the spine to the first hole, 1/2 inch to the next hole, 1/2 inch to the next hole, and it's giving you a full 1/2 inch to the next score line or edge of the spine. Now I normally only do 1/4 of an inch there, but I want this to be nice and soft. I want the spine to almost roll around the pages rather than be a defined rectangular shape. And I'm going to be absolutely putting loads of papers. Along with the journal collection, I'm going to be using tea-dyed papers, note papers, papers that I'm ripping from notepads, anything, old book pages. We're going to have a really chunky monkey, okay? You don't have to print everything. Have a look what you've got. Go through your notebooks, lined paper, graph paper, tissue paper, or tracing paper, anything, old book pages, absolutely anything. We're going to add, okay, to help beef up our pages. They don't all have to be printed. You can add things from your own collection as well, okay? So, I'm going to get my puncher. And I'm going to use the larger hole, okay? And I'm going to make my holes. Now, obviously, I'm going to have to punch them again once I've got my paper over, but I'm just showing you where to put them. So, let me just think. Do I want it all the way up there? Let me have a look. Let me have a look at my spacing here. Right, so where we've made those pencil marks, sorry, because I do make things up as I'm going along. We're going to bring the ruler down. We're going to have it at the same spacing, but we're only going to go in 1/4 inch. That's a full 1/2 inch. So make a mark at 1/4 inch. Then go to that one. Make a mark at 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch up from the bottom lip of the cover. And here, 1/4 inch. Okay. Then go in with your punch. Okay, and you want to centralise your circle over where you've made that mark. Okay, that's one. Sorry if you can hear my dog in the background. He's making a den out of his covers. He's making a den out of his covers. So that's your spacing, okay? And if you use pencil marks, it will help you, or it should help you, get them quite straight. Centralise that mark in the middle of your hole there, of your punch. I'm just going to move that down ever so slightly. And you can see those are lined up perfect. So then all you do is exactly the same at the top, okay? When you've layered your paper, you re-punch the holes, do one layer of paper, then punch the hole. Second layer of paper, punch the hole. It's just an easier way of doing it, okay? If you're new to doing it and you're not good at lining these up nicely so that you're not having to make marks on your paper, okay? You can lay the paper and do it. I'm just always do things as if everybody's brand new, because I never know who's watching. You never know if somebody brand new is watching. So if I'm over explaining, that's what I do. And then I'll set my eyelets when I've layered my paper. I'm going to be using some elastic. Now this is thinner elastic this time. I normally use 4mm elastic, but I don't have any left. That's 1.3, and I've got a feeling that that's even thinner. We'll see how we go. What I could do is add this elastic for now, as I really don't think I've got any thicker. I used it all, and I'm struggling to buy any locally. So I'm going to use what I've got for now, and if I feel like it's not thick enough, I'll go on Amazon or AliExpress and I'll order in. I prefer 4mm. I find 6mm too thick when you're tying it, and I just feel like this is a bit thin. 3mm would probably be fine as well. I'll have a look. I've got a feeling this might be a bit thin, but we'll see. I'm waffling. Again, that's what I do. So there's the start of our cover, okay? It's going to be fantastic. Don't worry if you think it's a little bit floppy. It's meant to be. It's a soft cover journal. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you again very, very soon, because I am going to be working on this non-stop until it's done. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.